Hey guys, Cameron here with Emerson Property Management. Every week I bring you tools, tactics, strategies, lessons I've learned, things that help me build up a sizable portfolio in about 2 years and now manage that portfolio. Today, guys, I want to talk about the housing affordability. And I don't want to talk because when you go in generic numbers across the entire US, it's just malaise. There's no actual specific like where you're investing market information. So I want to break that down for Houston. I want to talk through what I see in Houston and is Houston affordable or not affordable from a buy perspective and from a tenant perspective. So that's what we're going to get in today. Instead of all this fear mongering you see on the TV, let's talk about specifically Houston. Before I get into that, if you guys like this, if you enjoy it, if you find value in it, please give me a like, subscribe, share it with somebody you might find that you think might find it valuable. If not, if you got any feedback, you feel like I'm saying something incorrect, please comment below, shoot me a note, let me know. Happy to discuss any honest feedback. So let's get into this affordability stuff. I've got a lot written here on my handy dandy whiteboard. So basically what they're saying, or the current sentiment, and this will come up more because I hear it echoed and chirped by a lot of the large pundits, is we have an affordability crisis across our hands. Housing prices went up so much, and then interest rates went up, and housing prices are kind of staying flat. Maybe they're falling a little bit. They are falling. I've heard, 5 to 10, 15% in certain markets that ran up really hot. But again, when we start talking about broad generalities, you're going to have to excuse my reference, but the average person has one boob and half a penis. So there is really no average person. We talk about averages, a lot of that, but the real estate market is local for you. So I want to talk about Houston specifically. So let's look at this. I did this both sides here. I've got from a buy perspective and then from a rent perspective. So from a buy perspective, the average, and then I'm going to send you guys links to these, where I got this information so you guys can have this and fact check it or, digest the data however you want. So in Q3, because at the time of this recording, this is Q4, so the Q4 data hasn't come out. Q3 of 2023, the average or the median, I think, was $345,000 house. The PITI at 7% made that median. I think it's median. It could be median or average. Mortgage payment with PITI, principal, interest, taxes, insurance, $2,620 a month. I'm just using a broad generality of a third or 30%. So majority of lenders are going to say you don't want it to be above 27%, debt to income, maybe 30, 35%. So we're just going to use an even 30. That means that you have to have an income of $8,700 a month, almost $100,000 a year. Now, that data allows for only 35% of households in the greater Houston area to be able to afford a home. So let me say that again. Did this math. $8,700 a month means that only 35% of households in Houston can afford this monthly payment. So about a third, a little over a third. Now, the big issue here is they're saying this is the lowest it's been since like 2012 when they started tracking it in like 10 years. Well, what have values done for the past 10 years? The other kicker is we've seen inflation come up and prices of goods and everything else fly up. And this is just me speaking. This is Cameron, just a dumb property manager thinking about this. But incomes are coming up, right? I mean, people are getting raises at 5, 6, 7, 8, 10%. Now, some people are getting laid off, which sucks, but incomes are rising, and you can pull whatever data you want to see that. So I think this is going to get a little bit better, but also we talk about averages. So why not buy something that's less than $345,000? There are decent homes in Houston for sub $300,000. I mean, say decent, they're starter homes, right? Get into something, build some equity, and do something else. In other ways, there's some, interest rates are obviously here or thereabouts, about 7%. But if interest rates come down, that'll open this up. If prices come down, or you go out and you buy a $345,000 house, but you get it for $300,000, or you get a fixer-upper for $220,000, $250,000, and then put some sweat equity into it, that would raise this as well. So, before we get on all the fear-mongering crap, this 35% sounds really low. Only a third of folks can afford the median house in Houston. But if you think about it, again, there's ways to get deals on this. There's ways to get below this number. And if you're buying above this number, maybe you're already established or later on in your career, you have a higher income. The average income in Greater Houston is about $100,000. It's 90, actually, based on this, HoustonStateOfHealth.com demographics, it's $95,111. So that's the average. But yeah, 35, to me, it sounds bad initially, but if you actually sit there and think about it, yes, those are vacuum cleaners behind me. If you actually sit there and think about it, there's other ways to get around this. You save up some money, maybe put a little bit more down payment on the house. Again, you buy deals. There's ways to get around this. So with a little bit of that, or buy below the average. And so there's ways to get that down to where that opens up affordability for more people. There's all these low and no money down loan programs. There's all sorts of stuff like that. So, or make more money, get a job, do a little bit better, get 2 jobs, buy, pick your spouse, make sure that they have good income. So that's on the buy side. So now let's talk on the rent side, which this is new and this has changed recently. Rents average or median, this is median, is $2,050 a month. So most folks say you need 3 times monthly rent to qualify. So that would be $6,150, which is like 70 some thousand. 70, just say 75 for even numbers, in annual income a year. That allows 39% of Houston households to afford this. So let's think about this. You, as a renter, are going to have a lower price monthly mortgage payment. It's more affordable for most folks. You can get roommates. This has really swapped over the past 2 years. When interest rates were at 2 and 3%, before prices went AWOL, it was cheaper to buy. It made more sense to buy. But now it's cheaper to rent. And here's the other thing, and Ramit said he can be kind of a dick, but he says this, and I like this. This is the lowest amount you're ever going to pay when you buy a home. So paying $2,620 a month, that is just principal, interest, taxes, insurance. What happens? Somebody's got to cut the grass. Somebody's got to pay the HOA bill. Somebody's got to fix any sort of leaks or any issues you have, furnace goes out. So this is the least amount you're ever going to pay. What happens next year when your property taxes go up? What happens when your insurance rates go up? So this is the least amount you ever pay. On your rent, that's the most you'll ever pay. You have an issue, AC goes out, call the owner, call the management company. Hey, my AC's out. It's out. We're gonna have to replace a new system. I want a rent discount. You're not gonna have to pay for that. So this is the most you'll pay. Maybe you have the 2, 3, 4, 5% increase each year in rent, but that sure as heck beats paying for maintenance and repairs and all the increases in property taxes and insurance. So now, again, at the time of this recording at the end of 2023, things have flipped where it's cheaper to rent. And almost 40% of households means we still have, in my opinion, a pretty affordable rental market. So $2,050 will rent you a nice place in Houston. I say nice. Middle class, upper middle class. There's some beautiful homes that we rent for $2,000 a month. So, and similar to being able to use strategies over here, like buying at discount, doing other things to be able to open this up for more folks. Same thing over here. You can get a rental and split it with, I rented a room off folks. You could get a rental with your relative or with, your boyfriend or girlfriend or significant other and split this. So 40% to me doesn't seem that bad, especially if that's you taking on the income straight without any sort of relative, friend, family member, somebody living with you. Now, this is household. So if you have a spouse, then it does use both of those incomes combined. But let's just say your cousin moves in with you, or you're single and you have somebody else move in with you. That would cut your payment down. Or if you're over here, you do a house hack. You rent out a room to somebody for $500 or $800 or $1,000 a month. That'll cut that down. That'll open this up for more folks. So that's a long-winded way of saying, y'all, I do not think, I really don't think we have an affordability problem here in Houston. Obviously, there's always going to be a sect of the population that doesn't make enough money to buy a home. There are people that never want to buy a home. I actually know a lot of folks that make a shit ton of money that are not interested in buying homes. They don't buy homes. They don't buy cars. They don't buy boats. They rent. They rent everything. So I don't see this as concerning. If you lived in LA or Miami or Chicago or New York, it might be something, but I really don't see a concern. And the fact that it's cheaper to rent now actually helps us landlords out. So it's expensive to buy and pushes people to rent because they can save money. It's cheaper. So I hope that was helpful. I see a lot of the scare tactics, so I wanted to talk about that. If it was, let me know. If it wasn't, let me know. But I appreciate y'all for tuning in. I'll make sure I put the links, or one of us on the team puts the links below to these two sources so you guys can reference that. Thanks, y'all. See you next week.